Somewhere in the barrier peaks, the party stood in a very strange space. They had found this metal cave on the side of a mountain and clambered in, and inside were all sorts of strange things. They had discovered somehow weird magic buttons on walls. You would touch them and continual light spells would simply come on somewhere to illuminate the room. Now they had forced their way through two metal doors that instead of swinging open, slid into pockets. And there was a table before them of a very strange construction, tilted to the side, clearly broken. Skeletal remains laying there on the floor. But the skeleton, not like anything Wally the wizard, or Connie the cleric, or Rachel the ranger had ever seen before. Wally went over to the table and he began brushing the dust off. And as he did, his hand just brushed a little switch. And suddenly, more continual lights came up on the surface of the table. And on a panel on a wall in front of them, there was a red circle. And then a voice began somewhere coming from this strange room. And it started speaking. Wolka, Yiski, Bergen, Waka, Niskan, Wolka, Backen, Yiski, Wolka, Backen. Connie the cleric said, "What is that? I don't understand that language, and I know several languages." Rachel the rogue said, "I don't know." And Wally said, "I've got this." And he began casting a spell. And he cast Comprehend Languages. And while his voice was speaking, they noticed this red circle had started to go black in little segments as it began to blacken going around the circle. And it was about halfway blackened when he finished the spell. And then they all heard 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is an example of what happens when you use the Comprehend Languages spell. Hey everybody, welcome to Arcane Wednesday for October 14th, 2020. I'm your host, DM Gallibond, and that long preamble? Yeah, that lets us know we're going to be talking about Comprehend Languages tonight. Kind of a situation that your party may find itself in where they run into some creature that just doesn't speak their language, or even finding a book that is written in a strange language. Comprehend Languages will help out with. So let us go ahead and take a look at that. Comprehend Languages is a spell that originated back in 1st edition. And in 1st edition, it was just a touch spell. Magic user is able to read an otherwise incomprehensible written message, but not a magical writing. They only know that it's magic. Or can understand the language of a speaking creature. In either case, you must touch the object or the creature to be understood, and the spell does not enable the spellcaster to write or speak the language. Material component of the spell are a pinch of soot and a few grains of salt. And the duration is 5 rounds per level. Okay, now, 2nd edition Again, one speaking creature or written text. And the uh, uh, the description is pretty much the same. There is a couple of details that are added here. Magical writing cannot be read other than know it's magical, but spell is often useful when deciphering treasure maps. Spell can be foiled by certain warding magic, third level secret page, illusionary script, and it does not reveal messages concealed in otherwise normal text. So in other words, if somebody is writing code, but it's a code that's embedded within normal text, you can't use read languages to reveal that code. All right, in third edition, comprehend languages. Now, second edition, what's the duration? I think it's still 5 rounds per level. Yep, it is. Okay. Third edition, it's 10 minutes per level. So lasts a little bit longer. You can understand spoken words of creatures or read otherwise incomprehensible written messages. You must touch the creature. The writing ability to read does not necessarily impart insight in the material, merely its literal meaning. So in other words, if there's an allegory that is using flowery language to talk about other events, sometimes you have um, it's often said, that like Mother Goose, that all the characters in Mother Goose were supposed to represent some sort of, figures in nobility, but they wrote them down as nursery rhymes because that way they wouldn't get in trouble for seditious speech about the monarchs. Well, ever. So, in other words, you would not be able to tell all the intended meanings behind the text, just the literal meaning of the text. Read at a rate of 1 page per minute. Magical writing cannot be read. And again, it's talks about how it can be foiled by secret page and illusory script, and it can be made permanent with a permanency spell. All right, and in all these cases, it's a first level spell. Going back to first edition, it's only for magic users. Second edition, only for magic users. Now in third edition, you can have it for bards, clerics, and sorcerers and wizards. And then in fifth edition, it doesn't appear in fourth edition. In fifth edition, it's a first level spell that lasts for an hour. You understand the literal meaning of any spoken language you hear, also understand any written language that you see, but you must be touching the surface on which the words are written. So now notice that in fifth edition, to understand the spoken language, you don't have to touch the creature. So that's why with our example, I mean, you guys were about to say, oh, wait a minute, all these rules say you got to touch the creature. Not in 5th edition. So 5th edition has changed the rules a little bit. So it no longer requires touch to comprehend spoken language. It still requires touch to comprehend written language. So you have to be able to touch the document or the scroll or the book or whatever in order to be able to read it. And in 5th edition, again, it's usable by bards, sorcerers, warlocks, and wizards. All right. Well, that's going to do it for Comprehend Languages. Kind of a utility spell, really probably not something that you would use in combat. I mean, other than trying to understand the language of another creature, you might use it in combat or in a combat situation. Now notice it lets you understand them, but they cannot necessarily understand you if they don't know your language, or if you don't know a language that they understand. All right, so if you like what we're doing here on the channel, please like the video, subscribe to the video, share the video, click the post notification bell so that you can be notified every time new content drops on the channel. Also, in the description, you will find all of the social media platforms that I am on, and you will find out how to follow the twitch.tv, the Twitch channel that I have, where all of my actual play games are hosted. All right, everyone, take care. We will talk to you later, and good night.